At Christmas dinner, my son reached for a cookie. My mom slapped his hand away and said, "Those are for the good grandkids. Not for you." The room laughed. I got up, grabbed his coat, and we left without a word. At 11:47 p.m. my dad texted, "Don't forget the business loan payment tomorrow." I just replied. I didn't think a Christmas cookie could end a family empire, but that's exactly how it started. I remember standing in my parents' dining room, staring at the table like it was a movie set. Perfect tablecloth. Perfect china that no one was ever allowed to touch except on holidays. Candles placed just so. My mom had been working on Christmas since early November, and she reminded everyone of that at least twice an hour. You know the vibe. Everything looks warm and loving, but you can feel the tension buzzing under the surface like a bad electrical wire. My son sat beside me, knees swinging because the chair was too big for him. He was wearing the sweater my mom bought him last year. The one she later said was too expensive for how little you appreciate it. He'd been quiet all night, which already told me something was wrong. He kept glancing at the cookies in the center of the table. Big ones. Sugar-dusted. The kind my mom only makes once a year and acts like they're sacred. He leaned toward me and whispered, "Mom, can I have one?" I nodded. "Go ahead," I said softly. He reached out slowly, carefully, like he was afraid of breaking a rule he didn't know existed. And then smack. My mom slapped his hand away. Not hard enough to leave a mark, but hard enough to make a sound. The kind of sound that stops conversations for half a second. She laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh no," she said brightly, waving her hand. "Those are for the good grandkids. Not for you." There was that sentence. The one that hangs in the air and makes you realize this wasn't a mistake. It was a message. The room laughed. Not everyone, but enough. My sister snorted into her wine. My aunt smiled awkwardly. Someone said, "Oh Mom," like it was just her being her. My dad kept cutting his turkey like nothing had happened. I looked at my son. His hand was still frozen in the air. His face had gone completely blank. No tears. No anger. Just confusion. And then he pulled his hand back and folded it into his lap like he was trying to make himself smaller. Do you know that feeling when your chest gets tight but your head goes completely clear? That's what happened to me. Years of memories rushed in all at once. Every holiday where I was too sensitive, every joke that wasn't really a joke, every time I was told to be grateful while swallowing humiliation. I waited. Just for a second. For someone to say something. To correct her. To laugh it off and hand my son a cookie anyway. No one did. So I stood up. I didn't slam my chair. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't give my mom the reaction she loves to twist later. I just picked up my son's coat from the back of the chair and helped him into it. "We're leaving," I said. The room went quiet, then immediately noisy again. "Oh come on," my mom said. "Don't be dramatic." "It was just a joke," my sister added. My aunt tried. "Let's not ruin Christmas." I looked at my mom and said very calmly, "You already did." My dad finally looked up. "Sit down," he said like he was talking to a misbehaving employee. I didn't answer. I took my son's hand and walked out. No goodbye. No explanations. Outside, the cold air hit us like reality. We walked to the car in silence. Halfway there, my son looked up at me and asked so quietly it almost broke me, "Mom, was I bad?" That question replayed in my head all night. Do you think a child ever forgets the first time they feel ranked in a family? Because I don't. I knelt down right there in the driveway and told him the truth. That he was good. That he was kind. That cookies don't measure worth. He nodded, but his eyes didn't fully believe me yet. On the drive home, I kept thinking about everything I hadn't said, and everything I had been paying for. Because here's the part no one at that table liked to talk about. Their family business. The one my dad bragged about? I was the reason it stayed afloat. The loans. The quiet transfers. The payments I made on time every month while they treated me like the problem child who should just be grateful to be invited. So when my phone buzzed at 11:47 p.m. I wasn't shocked. It was my dad. "Don't forget the business loan payment tomorrow." I stared at the screen for a long time. Longer than I probably should have. Then I typed back. "Already handled by pulling out." I put my phone face down and took a deep breath. I didn't know it yet, but that single sentence was about to cause absolute chaos. And very soon they were going to realize that the bad daughter was the one holding everything together. Tell me, should I have warned them? Or was walking away the first real boundary I'd ever set? I woke up the next morning to my phone vibrating so hard it nearly fell off the nightstand. Not one buzz. Not two. A full-on nervous breakdown in electronic form. Missed calls stacked like pancakes. Voicemails. Texts sent seconds apart like if they just kept typing I'd magically cave. I didn't touch the phone. Not yet. I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to my son breathe in the next room, and for the first time in a long while I felt calm. Not peaceful, calm in that eerie post-storm way, where you know something huge has shifted and there's no going back. I got up. Made breakfast. Cut his toast into triangles because that's how he likes it. He watched me closely like kids do when they sense emotional weather changing. Are we still bad at grandmas? He asked quietly. That sentence hit me harder than anything my parents had said the night before. I crouched down in front of him and said, no. We're just not going where people are mean to us anymore. He thought about that. Then nodded. Okay. Just like that. Kids accept boundaries faster than adults ever do. After he got on the school bus, I sat down with my coffee, now cold because of course it was, and finally unlocked my phone. First voicemail, my mom. Crying, but not the shaky kind. The dramatic, breathy kind with perfectly timed pauses. I don't understand why you would do this on Christmas, she said. You humiliated me in front of the whole family. I almost laughed. Almost. Next voicemail, my dad. No emotion. Just anger. What does pulling out mean? This isn't funny. Call me. Then text from my sister, rapid fire. You're overreacting. It was a joke. You always do this. You're really going to blow everything up over a cookie? Isn't it amazing how quickly cruelty gets minimized when it's inconvenient? I finally replied to my dad. One line. No explanation. It means I'm no longer paying the business loan. Effective immediately. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then my phone rang. I answered, put it on speaker and waited. Are you out of your damn mind? My dad exploded. You can't just decide something like this overnight. Overnight. Like it hadn't been building for years. I didn't decide it overnight, I said calmly. I just stopped ignoring it. My mom took the phone. I could hear her snatch it. You are being incredibly cruel, she said. After everything we've done for you. There was the sentence engraved into my childhood. Everything? I asked. Like raking grandchildren? Like laughing when my son was humiliated? Oh please, she snapped. You're twisting things. He needs to learn not everything is for him. I felt something inside me harden. He learned something all right. Just not what you think. Silence. Thick. Heavy. Then my dad jumped back in. Do you have any idea what this could do to the business? Who? Contracts. People depend on us. And that's when it finally became crystal clear. They weren't calling because they felt bad. They weren't calling because they missed us. They were calling because they were scared. Do you know how painful it is to realize your role in your family was never daughter, just backup plan? I told them I'd think about it and hung up. Not because I needed time, but because for once they did. An hour later my phone buzzed again. This time it was my grandmother. My dad's mom. The woman who always slipped my son extra cookies and whispered, "Don't tell your mother." I heard what happened, she texted. You did the right thing. I wish I had your courage years ago. That was it. I cried right there at the kitchen table. Because when the loudest people are wrong, sometimes the quietest voice is the one that saves you. By evening the messages shifted tone. Less yelling. More bargaining. My sister asked if I could help just until spring. My dad sent spreadsheets like numbers could guilt me. My mom sent a long message about family loyalty and how fragile your father's health is lately. Funny how concern only shows up when money disappears. And somewhere between all of that I realized something terrifying and empowering. They needed me far more than I ever needed them. I went to bed that night knowing I was holding all the cards, and very soon I'd decide how to play them. So tell me honestly, would you have cut them off completely right then? Or would you have waited to see just how desperate they were willing to get? I thought the worst part was over. I was wrong. The surprises didn't arrive loudly. They crept in one by one, the kind that make your stomach drop after you've already swallowed. The first surprise came the next morning. Too early, of course. I hadn't even finished my coffee when I heard a knock. Not a polite one. Not aggressive either. Just familiar. Persistent. I opened the door and there she was. My mom. Standing on my porch like she belonged there, holding a red tin of Christmas cookies. The good cookies. The sacred ones. The irony almost made me laugh. I made these for you, she said softly. Too softly. Your favorites. Not my son's favorites. I didn't step aside. I didn't invite her in. I just stood there blocking the doorway. I just want to talk, she added, peering past me into the house. I miss my grandson. That's when something inside me snapped into focus. You miss him? I asked. Or you miss access to him? Her face shifted. Just for a second. And that second told me everything. Surprise number one, she didn't deny it. Instead, she sighed dramatically and said, "You're making this much bigger than it needs to be. Your father is under a lot of stress. Pulling the loan like this could really hurt him." Still no apology. Still no mention of the slap. Still no acknowledgement of what she said. So I asked her directly, "Why did you say that to my son?" She blinked. "Say what?" "That fake innocence. The same one I grew up with." "You know exactly what," I said. She waved her hand like she was brushing crumbs off the table. "Oh, that. You're still upset about that? Kids need to learn their place. Not everything is for everyone." There was clean, undeniable. I felt oddly calm as I said, "We're done here." Her eyes widened. "You'd really do this? Over one little moment?" "One moment for you," I replied. "A core memory for him." She straightened up, offended now. "You're choosing this over your own family?" I met her eyes. "I'm choosing my child as my family." Then I closed the door. I leaned against it for a moment afterward, heart pounding, not with doubt but with clarity. Surprise number two came later that day. My sister called. Not angry. Not defensive. Nervous. "I need to tell you something," she said quickly, like she was afraid she'd lose her nerve. I didn't laugh. Everyone thinks I did, but I didn't. "You didn't stop it either," I said. "I know," she whispered. "And I hate myself for that." Then she said the words that changed everything. "Dad's been lying to you." I sat down. She told me the business wasn't just struggling, it was sinking. That the loan I'd been paying faithfully every month wasn't going where I thought. Not into growth. Not into stability. Surprise number three. My money had been covering my brother's disasters. Gambling debts. Failed ventures. Quiet bailouts. And I was never told because I was reliable. Because I wouldn't say no. Because I was easier to manipulate than confront. Do you know what it feels like to realize you weren't the helper? You were the shield? I hung up the phone with my sister shaking. Not from fear but from rage so clean it felt surgical. That night, after my son was asleep, surprise number 4 arrived. A text from my dad. Not angry. Not commanding. Begging. "I failed you," he wrote. "I should have protected you. Please don't let everything collapse." I read it over and over. Because here's the twist they never expected. I wasn't planning to burn everything down. But I was done saving them by sacrificing myself. I typed back slowly, deliberately. In person. On my terms. I put the phone down and exhaled. They thought they were about to negotiate money. What they didn't realize was that very soon, they'd be negotiating power, access, and whether they'd ever be trusted again. Tell me, if you uncovered betrayal layered that deep, would you walk away immediately? Or would you stay just long enough to make sure it could never happen again? We met 2 days later. Not at their house. Not at mine. Neutral ground on purpose. A small cafe off the highway where no one lingers and no one feels important. I arrived early because I always do when something matters. Ordered tea I barely touched. Chose a table where I could see the door and leave quickly if I needed to. I didn't bring my son. This conversation wasn't about reconciliation. It was about reality. They walked in together. That was the first surprise. My parents almost never arrive together unless they've coordinated. My mom looked perfectly put together, scarf wrapped just right, expression already set to reasonable. My dad looked tired, smaller somehow. Like the weight of everything he'd been hiding had finally bent his spine. They sat down across from me. No hugs. No, "How are you?" No pretending. "I won't take long," I said. "And I won't argue." My mom opened her mouth. I raised my hand. That alone felt like flipping the world upside down. And she actually stopped. I'm not here to be convinced, I continued. I'm here to explain what's changing. My dad nodded slowly. My mom crossed her arms. I know about my brother, I said. The gambling. The debts. Where my money really went. The color drained from my mom's face. My dad shut his eyes like he'd been waiting for this moment. Confirmation. Clean and final. You went digging behind our backs? My mom snapped. I listened, I replied. There's a difference. My dad cleared his throat. We meant to tell you. When? I asked calmly. Before or after everything collapsed? No answer. Then came the next surprise. Your brother doesn't know you know, my dad said quietly. I let out a short laugh. Of course he doesn't. My mom leaned forward, lowering her voice like this was a negotiation. Whatever mistakes were made, that doesn't change the fact that we need help. There was again. Need. Always need. Never accountability. I set my cup down and said, here's how this works now. Both of them stiffened. 1, I said, I am not resuming loan payments. Not temporarily. Not later. Never. My mom sucked in a breath. My dad's shoulders slumped. 2, I continued, my son is no longer available for jokes, comparisons, or lessons about his place. If you speak to him the way you did at Christmas, we are done. No explanations. No second chances. My mom scoffed. You're holding your child hostage. No, I said evenly. I'm being his parent. And 3, I added, leaning in now, if I help in any way, it will be transparent. We will document it. And it starts with an apology. To my son. In person. That's when my mom lost it. I will not apologize to a child, she said sharply. That's absurd. And just like that, the line was drawn. I turned to my dad. This is where you decide. He stared at the table. A long time passed. Long enough that I wondered if he'd say nothing. Then he said quietly, she deserves an apology. My mom whipped toward him. Excuse me. So does our grandson, he continued. His voice shook, but he didn't stop. And she deserves to hear it from us. You're taking her side now? My mom snapped. I'm taking responsibility, he said. I should have done it years ago. That moment, the real surprise, hit me like a wave. I had braced for manipulation, for guilt, for rage. I hadn't prepared for him choosing growth. My mom stood up so fast her chair scraped loudly against the floor. If you let her tear this family apart. I already did that, my dad said softly. By staying silent. She grabbed her purse and walked out without looking back. The cafe felt quieter after that. Like the air had changed. My dad looked at me, eyes glassy. I don't expect forgiveness, he said. But I want to do this right. For once. I believed him. Not fully, but enough to consider it. I walked out knowing something irreversible had happened. Not just financially. Emotionally. The family hierarchy was gone. The old rules didn't apply anymore. And very soon there would be consequences. Not loud ones, not dramatic ones, but real ones. The kind that change people or expose them. The final surprise wasn't what my parents did. It was realizing that choosing myself and my child didn't destroy the family. It revealed who was actually willing to grow. So tell me, if one parent reached for accountability and the other clung to pride, who would you let back into your life? The last surprise didn't come with shouting or slammed doors. It arrived quietly, and somehow that made it heavier than all the drama before it. Weeks passed after the cafe meeting. No family group chats blowing up. No guilt-filled voicemails. No sudden emergencies that just happened to require money. Just silence. The kind that forces people to sit alone with the consequences of their choices. My mom never reached out. Not once. No apology. No, I've been thinking. No fake concern masked as love. She chose pride, and she chose it by doing nothing at all. And that hurt, but it also told me everything I needed to know. My dad surprised me again. He didn't ask for help. He didn't hint. He didn't complain. Instead, he started calling every Sunday evening. Short calls at first. Awkward ones. He asked about my son's school projects. About my work. About my life. Real questions. The kind he'd never bothered with before. One night he said, I don't want to fix things fast. I want to fix them right. I didn't answer right away. A few days later he asked if he could come over. Just him. I hesitated. Then I looked at my son at the kitchen table, carefully lining up his crayons by color, completely unaware of how close he'd come to learning that love was conditional. Hey, I said. But there are boundaries. When my dad arrived, he didn't bring spreadsheets. He didn't bring excuses. He didn't even bring cookies. He brought an envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter, with my son's name on it. He knelt down so they were eye to eye. His voice shook, but he didn't look away. I'm sorry, he said. I laughed when I should have protected you, and that was wrong. You didn't deserve it. You're a good kid. Always. My son looked at me, checking my face like kids do when they need permission to trust. I nodded. Then my son asked very seriously, so, I'm not a bad grandkid. My dad swallowed hard. No. You never were. After a pause, my son added, Can I have cookies now? And just like that, the tension broke. We laughed, not the nervous kind but the real kind. The kind that lets air back into a room. That moment didn't erase the past. But it changed the future. My dad followed through. He sold part of the business. Paid off what he could. Stopped covering for my brother. For the first time in my life he handled his mess without handing it to me. And my mom? He stayed away. No grand apology. No dramatic return. And as painful as that was, it was also her final answer. I stopped chasing her. I stopped explaining myself. I stopped trying to earn love from someone who believed respect was something children owed adults, but never the other way around. Here's what I learned, and I hope it helps someone listening right now. Walking away doesn't always destroy families. Sometimes it protects the ones that matter most. Setting boundaries isn't cruel. Choosing your child isn't selfish. And silence when someone refuses to change is sometimes the healthiest ending you'll ever get. My son still remembers that Christmas. But he doesn't tell it with shame. He tells it like the moment he learned his mom would always stand up for him. And honestly, that's the legacy I care about. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been the reliable one, the quiet one, the one expected to endure, please know you're not alone. If you felt seen, give this a like. If you've been through something similar, share your thoughts. I read every comment. And thank you truly for listening all the way to the end.